several choices now.
From field houses to auditoriums, on Monday, Iowa voters went to caucus. They showed their preference by dividing up and sitting or standing for their candidate. But it was not to be.
We don't have results, but we have news about why we don't have results. And I'm only being sarcastic because this is an epic failure by the Iowa State Democratic Party.
You've been on hold for 2 hours trying to report the results from your one precinct?
Yes.
There would be no results this night. The Iowa caucus broke down after a meltdown in how vote totals got reported. So everyone gave a sort of victory speech.
By all indications, we are going on to New Hampshire victorious.
And now it is on to New Hampshire, Nevada, South Carolina, California.
Tonight, we are one step closer to winning the fight for the America we imagine is possible.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. On to New Hampshire.
For the Democrats running for president, time was short. It was off to New Hampshire. The nation's first primary was near. Bernie Sanders and Pete Buttigieg ended up leading in Iowa, but it took days for results to trickle in.
A campaign that started a year ago with 4 staff members, no name recognition, no money, just a big idea.
But Iowa was a big letdown for Joe Biden, coming in fourth.
I am not going to sugarcoat it. We took a gut punch in Iowa. The whole process took a gut punch. But look, this isn't the first time in my life I've been knocked down.
He hasn't spent much money or time in New Hampshire in his third run for president.
Now it's time for New Hampshire to speak, and speak loudly. And I'm looking forward to making my case all across this state and until next Tuesday.
What Biden has said is that what matters is the totality of those first 4 early voting states: Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, and Nevada. In particular, he says Nevada and South Carolina matter because they are more reflective of what the nation looks like.
Suddenly, New Hampshire matters for every candidate.
For candidates like Pete Buttigieg and Bernie Sanders, who did well, the question is whether or not they can continue that, whether the momentum can continue going forward. For candidates like Joe Biden or like Elizabeth Warren, who didn't do as well, the question is whether, they can right the ship or change the message in a way that attracts more voters.
Sanders is well known here, with his native Vermont just next door, and New Hampshire is a state he won in 2016. Sean Sullivan is following Sanders.
Here in New Hampshire, voters really, really want to know their candidates. They want to feel them, see them, get to know them up close, and that's what we saw today.
So what kind of reassurance can you provide to me and the hundreds of thousands of other people who work for private insurers that there is still a need for our careers after single-payer health care?
Once we open the doors of healthcare to the 87 million who are uninsured and underinsured, we will be creating a lot more jobs than we are losing. Okay? Okay, thank you, Alex.
One issue that you have not been consistent on is open borders.
Trump wants to throw everybody out of the country. If he threw people out of the country, the price of food in this country would skyrocket. Who do you think is picking the crops and planting all over this country?
There's a lot of pressure on him here to perform well, because if he doesn't do well here, it's going to make a lot of people wonder, why not? He's supposed to do well here. It's the kind of place that people expect him to do well. He draws big crowds.
Mr. Pete Buttigieg! New Hampshire is New Hampshire. And New Hampshire is not the kind of place to let Iowa or anybody else tell you what to do.
Chelsea Janes is reporting on the Buttigieg campaign.
We've already talked to people who've said they saw what happened in Iowa, and we've seen some poll bumps that he's gotten. I think that, whether he declared victory or not, whatever the margin ends up being, that was an incredibly important showing for him, and really just, continues to sort of back up what he said all along, which is that he thinks his message can win, and he's one step closer to making that point.
I know how seriously you take the importance of getting this right, knowing that New Hampshire has that thumb on the scale. as a state so early in the process. I see it. I think you're in my top 7 now. All the way down to these last few days that are bringing us to decision time. And the importance of making sure that we are ready to win.
You know, he talks about being in the top 7. He's really been in our top 3 or 4 for a long, long time. Okay. He's just so smart. And I know he's just a mayor of a small town, but he is a mayor and administrator, and that's how things work and run.
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning towards Pete myself, yeah.
What do you like about him?
I really think that it's really important to do a generational change, you know. To me, I really, think it's important to have a candidate who's not eligible to collect Social Security yet, you know.
It's also a campaign of reach.
The way Buttigieg has done it is to say, look, I can bridge these partisan divides. I can bring in moderates and Republicans in the Rust Belt. I can convert people who are, dissatisfied with President Trump. And we can build a broad sort of movement that way. And I think that's what he'll continue to do here in a state that really aligns with that strategy very well.
As Biden and Elizabeth Warren figure out how to move forward, now, just days before the New Hampshire primary, all eyes are on Sanders and Buttigieg.
Iowa set the tone for this race, right? It gave us our first definitive taste of winners and losers. What New Hampshire does is it is for the victors, for the people that did well in Iowa. It will show whether they can keep that momentum going, whether they can keep that fire going.
As Iowa still counts votes, New Hampshire is counting on setting the pace for the race ahead.